Hey everyone, this is Asif and you're listening to Hello Educator. Today's episode is from Mango Science Radio and Obli Chandran is back with his story from the history of physics and astronomy. Today's story is on the woman who measured the universe.
Hi, Mango Science Radio listeners. Obli Chandran here. So I teach astronomy and I have huge interest in physics and astrophysics. So here I am again to tell you another interesting journey of our understanding of the night sky, because it's been one of the oldest sciences that people have been studying it for several centuries or millennia, if not more. So our ancestors were as equally mesmerized and wondered by the night sky as we are today, and they made huge understanding. They formed patterns, they understood the night sky, they looked at the stars and formed patterns, they connected it to the onset of seasons and several things they were able to study about the night sky. But certainly not everything, because they were limited by that day by the technologies that we have today, and that would evolve much, that would come to us several centuries later. So nevertheless, so one of the understanding that our ancestors took a long time to understand would be whether the sun is the center or the earth is the center of our solar system or the universe for that matter. And people for a long time held the view that earth was the center of the not just the solar system, the entire universe. And it would have to wait till the early 16th and 17th centuries until it was nailed down with hard-hitting evidence that sun is the center of our solar system, but not the earth. But even back then, when it was established the sun was the center of our solar system, it was assumed that sun was the center of the universe. But now we know sun is not the center of the universe. It was one among the several billions of stars orbiting the center of our galaxy called the Milky Way. In fact, it is two-thirds of the distance away from the center of the Milky Way. So look, this understanding has taken quite a lot of scientists and their insights and the technologies that has helped us to get from there to here. I'm just going to talk about one aspect of that understanding. There's been several aspects, dimensions in which our understanding has improved literally to astronomical proportions, but I'm just going to talk about one aspect of it. I'm sure all of you have looked at the night sky in different points of your life, and I think this would be the best time, since we are in the lockdown quarantine time. It would be a nice time to look up at the sky, because that would be the best thing to do, because all it needs is just you and the sky, with no one to be by your side. So look up at the sky. You see a lot of stars, hundreds of them might be a little too much, being in a light polluted city, but at least you can see tens of 20s of them. So now when you look up at the night sky, have you ever wondered how far away they are? From our point of view, all those stars look to be at the same distance. We really cannot tell which is far away, which star is closer. And the same problem was with our ancestors as well. They could identify stars, they could say the stars, they could identify the pattern of stars, but they never knew how far away they were. They had no means of knowing it. That is an amazing thing that we are able to do it today, and that would slowly expand the map of the universe that we know. Just like how the sailors, once upon a time, before we onset our journey into the oceans, we never knew what was on the other side of the ocean. We thought our land was the only land. Once we started exploring, moving out of our lands, had the courage to move out, sail into the oceans, then find on the other side what is the land, then we came to know of things. This similarly, our understanding of the universe entire thing was part of our solar system or Milky Way. We never knew what was beyond it. We rather thought whatever we see in the sky is only it's the entire universe that we see. But that was proven wrong as our understanding improved. One of the key people in understanding that, rather the measuring the universe, famously called as the person known for measuring the universe, and she was rather a low profile scientist back then, astronomer. I'm going to reveal the name like as I always do at the end, but this person that I'm talking about is not very famously known for, not even known about. people don't remember her because her names don't come in the textbook. It's not part of the regular medium of channel that you would look for reading out stuff about astronomy. But nevertheless, she has been one of the instrumental person in expanding our map of the universe. In 1908, she joined one of the observatories called the Harvard Observatory, which had one of the largest telescope back then. So that was used to collect the data of the stars, that used to take pictures of the stars, of thousands of pictures, and they recorded back then on a photographic plate. So they don't have the technology here to record it digitally and you can just browse through them. They had to record it on a photographic plate. So they had basically thousands of data of multiple stars in the sky. So, and when she was studying, all the women who were employed in the Harvard Observatory, they were referred to as computers, human computers. So back then, so they were given a job that would require a lot of hardworking and painstaking efforts in browsing through the data and collecting insights from them. So that was normally done by women. And back then, understand, women even studying or picking up courses in astronomy is a difficult thing. People didn't have equal access. Men and women were not equal back then. So it was even a miracle that someone was hiring women to even work, and also it is to be said that they were paid much less than men back then at that time. So it was a big thing for this woman that I'm talking about to even work, to get a chance to work there. And yet she was, because of her passion, she didn't mind about the money or mind about the fact that she was being sidelined compared to her fellow men astronomers. But she just kept working on. She was interested in astronomy. And the guy who employed her and other women who were referred to as the human computers was Pickering. His name was Pickering. So now, as she was going through the data of thousands of stars, she observed something very special and very interesting about a special group of stars. People call them variable stars. Variable stars are stars that will change in brightness. Like they get brighter and they get dimmer. They get brighter and dimmer. They pulsate, like bright, dim, like just like a heartbeat. They pulsate. They go brighter, then they go dimmer. So, and this pulsating brightness happens in a regular fixed period of time, like say 5 days or 10 days or 20 days. It happens very regularly. And she was finding some other thing that was very interesting about these pulsating stars. She found that the brighter a star is, it takes a longer time for it to pulsate, to go from bright to dim and back to bright. It takes, the brighter the star, it takes more time to pulsate. So now this was a very interesting and one of the most needed observation that would eventually lead to our understanding of measuring the distances to stars that are much farther away. Of course, when she was working, there was still a method to determine the distance to the stars that are close by, like probably few hundred light years. So 700 to 1000 light years or 2000 light years, there were methods, but beyond that were like much beyond, like 1 million light year away or 2 million light year away. It was very difficult with the existing method, and this observation by this woman would be instrumental in understanding that. But I should also remind you that she did not know. She assumed, or she had a hunch that it might be used to find distances to stars, but she herself could not find it. But that data, that relationship would be instrumental for other astronomers who would come eventually to pick on that and find the distances. So particularly there was this astronomer called Shapley, I'm not sure of the pronunciation. He would look at this relationship that this woman found of the relationship between the how bright a star is and how long it takes to pulsate, and he used that method to map the Milky Way. So what was assumed to be the entire Milky Way, he started mapping it. And when he started mapping the Milky Way using the method relationship that was given by this woman, he found out one most important thing. Just like how it was proven in the early 17th and 16th centuries that the Earth was not the center of our solar system, but rather it was the Sun, this observation made by Shapley moved away, rather kicked the Sun out of the position of occupying the center of the universe. When he mapped, in fact, he found out the Sun was not the center of this galaxy or universe, but it is in fact whatever the center is, it is at least 2/3 the distance away from that center. And that was one of the instrumental understanding, like one of the most insightful things that would be back then, and that was a spectacular finding. And eventually few years later, it's like 7 or 8 years later, another person would eventually come. His name is Edwin Hubble. In 1928 or 29, he would go on to use the same technique. That was a relationship that was put forward by this woman in 1912 to prove that our Milky Way is not the only galaxy. Another thing that was stuck to our mind back then, the Milky Way is the only galaxy and we are special. And even that idea was kicked out when he found out the Milky Way is just one of the billions of galaxies that are out there. And he was observing this particular galaxy called Andromeda galaxy. So, and he found the distance to be 900,000 light years. Today we know it is much more than that. It's 2.2 million light years, because back then the method that he used was not very accurate and precise. There were some errors in that, but the entire map of the universe that we have today, the 3D map of the universe that we have today, is thanks to this woman. Otherwise we would be stuck to the idea that our solar system is the only solar system, and maybe Sun was the center of our solar system, but it was also the center of the entire universe, and our Milky Way is the only thing that is in the entire universe, if not for this woman. And unfortunately, she was not recognized while she was alive. And in fact, in 1924, she was recommended for the Nobel Prize by one of the fellow astronomers or mathematicians, I'm not sure. And when the Nobel committee considered to give her the Nobel Prize, they learned that she had died 3 years earlier due to stomach cancer in 1921. So people didn't even know she was there. After her death for 3 years, people didn't even know, and they thought she was alive so that they could give her the Nobel Prize. And it's very unfortunate, but today we know her for her name. Today we celebrate her, and it is, I think, important that we celebrate her name. And her name is Henrietta Leavitt. Henrietta Leavitt. And she's the woman who measured the universe, or rather helped us measure the universe and the 3D map that we have today. So I hope you found this story interesting. I know it's been quite long, but I think it deserved the attention that I gave it. So I'll catch you again soon with another interesting piece of information from the past. Thank you again. Bye.
I hope you really enjoyed today's story. Please feel free to send us a feedback via WhatsApp as a audio message or a text message. The number to reach out to us is 99522435541. Thanks for listening, and I will catch you in the next episode of Hello Educator. Stay home, stay safe.